about it. I can share. Do you have something to share?
Yes, so
Yeah.
I'd like to share one slide.
Sure. Then I need to kind of. Is it the same slide which you posted? That I think I have with me. I can share here.
Yeah, it's telling me that you need to enable the screen sharing.
Okay, let me just stop for a moment.
Yes, I can. I confirm. Okay, so let me put it in presentation mode.
Yeah,
Can you see my, yes.
Yeah, this model, I was blown away because let me tell you, this actually puts the whole discussion in one, I mean, the one picture speaks thousand words, right?
Yes.
This presents the knowledge management solution and the standard how augmentation takes place. It's beautiful. Please go ahead and explain.
Yes, sure. And it was also a question from our top management. They said, okay, give us one big picture that you put all your activities in one slide, so we can understand how you are operating. Because you say knowledge management is not one activity, you do it, you got the outcome with the output, and it's done. Knowledge management it's more like attitude, the behaviors, technologies, the people, their interactions. So it goes in all direction. And I can recall one of our clients back when I was working in Dubai. He told me knowledge management is like spaghetti. You don't know
Indeed.
where it starts and where it ends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it can
so
become that too.
yes, and it
Yeah.
kind of goes in all directions. So we need focus. We need focus, and we need impact, and we need to measure those impact, so we can continue to show to the company and the organization the value out of knowledge management. And I rarely pronounce the noun knowledge management because if you say we are doing knowledge management automatically in their head, so okay, so it's another function, it's not our
I
responsibility.
would agree. Yeah, yeah. Or
Yeah,
generally, people feel that okay, here is a guy who's going to go dump me more work.
exactly.
Okay, please
Yeah,
carry
oh
on.
no,
Yeah.
it's one more job to do, one more task to add. Yeah,
Indeed,
you know
indeed.
the story. Yeah,
Indeed.
so
Yeah.
that's why when we were building the business case for our knowledge management system, we related and we aligned it to the vision of the company and the priorities, let's say, of the company today priorities. So we can speak the same vocabularies, and that vision or priority, it was to build the capabilities and the behaviors of our engineering, let's say. So engineers have the tendency naturally to learn the technicality of their job.
Indeed.
But it's very difficult and tough to change their behaviors and to, let's
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
and to acquire new attitudes and the new, let's say, beliefs.
that is true.
And I believe personally that knowledge management and sharing and collaboration is a personal conviction. If I believe that by sharing my knowledge and by sharing my know-how, I am invested in my self-learning proactively so whenever I let's say face a problem or an issue,
Okay.
because we are sharing together the solutions, I can solve it without going through the analysis and the root cause analysis. So at first place, sharing is a conviction before being any type of process or technology. So back to the ISO model, at the center, you can see the golden activity. It's the building capabilities and behaviors into our engineering, let's say, community. The green activities or enablers are those coming from the ISO standard, the 3041. And then the blue activities are the complementary from the GE requirements and GE activities. So for example, one of the ISO was to build the KM governance model, and then we put the emphasis on the business improvement and functional excellence. or let's say is engineering excellence. This is our internal project at GE, where we want to improve, let's say, and develop more expertise and capabilities for our engineering community. And then we complemented with the knowledge architecture. This is what I have described earlier, how we build the knowledge architecture.
Right.
And then the ISO has complemented with develop KM operations, have performance evaluation, and have corrective action plan. So we work in synergy, in harmony between what the ISO has recommended and what GE has required.
So just to, I mean, just to kind of add a point here, or rather a small question here is,
yes.
So the green one, when we talk about develop KM operations or define KM performance evaluation, implement KM corrective action plan. So if I have to ask in a different way, were this missing earlier? When you looked at standard, you thought these were some of the key elements which you need to, which is essential. Is that right? I mean,
yes, perfectly. In fact, we were missing the policy. We didn't thought about the policy and how it needs to integrate our quality management system. And the ISO has a spotlight this activity into our program. So now we are confident with the standard. We are confident that we are not missing any elements for the success of the program. So yes, it is multi-aspect, multi-dimensional program where you need to think at the same time at the KM strategy, everything related to governance, to the measurement, to the processes, and then you have to think about the culture, any kind of engagement activity, any kind of serious game, any kind of events that need to drive more engagement. You have also to think about the technology, where you need to continuously and consistently develop new features, new requirements that enable our processes. We see technology as enablers for the processes, not a standalone system that we need to keep innovating and building and adding new features without being used. And then you have to think as well about the operations, how you can measure the performance, how you can improvement, what type of new processes you need to put in place. So all those facets of the program, now we have a structured approach and methodology to checkpoint, to say we missed on that element. We need to reinforce engagement. We need to revisit our KPIs. So, you know, you have that guideline that can accompany you throughout the development and throughout the journey.
Yes, yes. I think, Rachad, you kind of put the whole ISO knowledge management in a nutshell. And at the same time, how I see is that there is a typical natural way of doing things when it comes to knowledge management, and that is exactly I see from your example and what I understand. I think it is pretty much all aligned, right? So
Yes.
then why do you think people? Where do you see any rigidity in the standard? Does the standard tell you what exactly to do? I mean, why is this question coming up again and again? That standard is too rigid, and you know it is too much system focused, or you know, it doesn't work. I mean, is this something which you have also heard, and you know you have also kind of like what should be your kind of what is your take on those questions? I mean,
Yes, my quick answer is or comment, because it's resource heavy. It requires a lot of resource allocated. So my team, we are 2-3 persons working in the KM at the company, but you need the involvement and the sponsorship at all levels. And when I go, the two feedback that I get too much frequently from our people leaders and technical leaders, the first one, it's not part of my priorities or not part of my objectives. I'm not evaluated against knowledge management, and this is has we can re-question how organizations are designed. because historically, since 1910, Frederick Taylor and Adam Smith, they designed the idea of international companies on efficiency. So they want more productivity, more efficiency, more
That is
profit.
true. Yeah.
They didn't design the company to have knowledge management or learning objectives. So this first dilemma, confrontation between what the organization is designed and evaluated for, its performance metrics, so cash flow, cost of non-quality, profit margin, delivery time, all those are inherently in conflict with knowledge management and learning. So the first feedback from the technical leader is it's not part of my priority. And the second,
All the time, yes.
yes, and the second
We
feedback,
hear that, yes.
I don't have the resource to do the job, to do the knowledge management job. And that's where the education parts, and that's where my role as a knowledge sharing leader comes into place, to do the education and to do the awareness, to say, look,
It's very
um,
important.
learning is part of your job. If you face a problem and you spend, let's say, 20 days solving a problem that already someone in North America or in, let's say, Latin America has already solved it, you don't need to spend 20 hours. So this kind of investment and making visible what part of the company in one place has already solved, and the other part of the company where it's struggling with the same issue. So that kind of shift in the attitude, shift in the perception on how knowledge management can help us to do better my job that I am evaluated. This is my main challenge, and this is why what I do on daily basis.
Excellent. So to summarize this, I mean, just to add, summarize, and also just to add one more point. I mean, in last century, it was all about production, efficiency and profitability. Hence, the whole organization mindset with the bell curve and all the things. It's creating competition to create efficiency. That's one way of looking at it. But today, in knowledge, society, emerging knowledge society, the preference is about having the knowledge management or managing one's organization knowledge as a uh, community. I think that kind of new mindset has to emerge. If I have to summarize, I mean, you would agree, right? I mean, that's we can summarize in that, right? I guess.
Yeah, I can't agree more, no doubt about it. We are working in a global, let's say, mindset, and plus add to that layer the health crisis issue, where we are working now from anywhere, not only from home. We are working from anywhere, and we need to be connected more than ever. And when working in a networked or connected organization, the question is not anymore about who knows the most. It's not about me. It's not about my knowledge as expert. It's about who is connected the most in the network, who can play the role of mediator, facilitator, knowledge broker, who can get one piece of the knowledge transferred to another site and then connect all those people together. So this is the new dynamic that we need to promote more, especially in this period of time.
I would, not agree anything more. I mean, you probably said it. I mean, that is some of the major challenges. And to add to what you said, is it also that we have so much of digital dimension to manage our knowledge? I mean, basically, any document we write explicitly becomes a knowledge document. I mean, today I do not know. I mean, to manage our content and documents itself is a major challenge. I mean, to be very honest with you, what challenge I had 2021 or even 20, yeah, 20 years back, that I see the challenge only, it's become worse actually. Now, not only you have to manage your emails, you have to manage your documents, not only your links and webs and contents, etc., etc. I think that is a different domain of also, managing our explicit knowledge as well. Also, as one of the greater need, especially during this pandemic. What do you say about that?
Yeah, yes, sure. how do you estimate, or how much do you estimate the percentage of implicit tacit knowledge inside our head versus the explicit knowledge that is written or coded? What do you think the percentage is?
I see, any explicit knowledge in today is infinite. Yeah,
Yes,
whatever I can remember is very finite and limited. I would say that.
exactly.
I would be very honest.
Yep, and you know, although we have abundance of knowledge that is present, our knowledge that is tacit inside our head is much more than the explicit or the documented, and that's why I believe, and our knowledge management system at GE focus on informal sharing of knowledge throughout the knowledge sharing communities, where people can come together, share their stories informally, and they can, you know, that reminded me of a question, how you can build the trust. So
Yeah.
trust is a very centerpiece and key piece when sharing knowledge. So how we can build the trust? We saw in a community that is about, let's say, 500 members, when members share their hard times, their experiences, when they can relate to each other's and say, yes, I have been through that experience, I have been through that, let's say, problem,
Yeah.
you can see confidence and trust building slowly but surely, and then you can build on top of that and you can leverage those
Indeed.
stories. So I believe that 80-90% of our knowledge is tacit, it is embedded in inside our head, and 10% is explicit, and that's why we focus also on externalizing, getting out our experiences, our mix of knowledge, skills, experience, insights, learning, and share it outside with people who share with us the same domain. And communities are the best place to do that kind of informal, trust-based sharing of know-how.
You mentioned about the communities and all. I just had one question about it. What were the three challenges you had to get started your communities, and how did you go about, resolving? I won't say resolving, but how did you, what knowledge management strategy or tactics did you use to make it a success?
Yep. So we have in place around 32 communities. Some of them are success, others are dying, others are intermittent. So they come to life, they go to
Yeah.
sleep, they come to life. But
Mm.
what we have learned about successful communities
Mm.
is leadership. So leadership, not only in terms of corporate definition, those high level, C level, or highly positioned. Leadership can come from any person, any member, independent of its tier or independent of its job position. When I take initiative and I go to the community, I show the example, I share my knowledge, I share my experience, I am leading my task, I'm leading my activity. So I show the example,
Yeah.
and and then you manage it by influence. Uh, John has posted his experience. Let me post mine as well. So this is a snowball effect. You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to show some example in the infancy phase of the community, and that's why we have a core member, part of the core teams that are managing the community, and the core team members. Their role, first of all, is to never let any question without answer, even by replying simply, we are investigating, yes, we acknowledge your problem, let us get back to you in a few days. So those core members have the role to keep the community alive, to keep it going. And what I always recommend any community leadership team to post at least one question. So if we are, let's say, 500 members, we don't need 500 questions. We need one question, but on daily basis, to be consistent, to be persistent, and to send explicit message to the community. We are here, we are sharing. It's value added, let's say, activity. When you come to the community, you can learn from it, and every day you have something new that you can learn it from the community. Once you build on top of those dynamics, little by little, you can get the massive engagement, and you can get those participation. And the leader, and also we learned something, to marry the team priorities and the community activities. So if I am a controls engineer or controls working in the control team, leading a controls team, and I have one of my team priorities is to develop specification and common methodology around the Mark 6E controller, for example. This priority, I should transfer it to the community activity and ask the members to contribute and ask them as a leader, India, Bangalore, what do you think your requirements are? Brazil, what are your requirements for that methodology? So as a leader, I need to show the way, but also to marry or to couple my team priorities with my community activities.
Indeed, indeed. Excellently.